Hi, I'm Nick and this is the TBT channel. In today's video, I'm going to take a look at my 30-year-old Airgun World magazine with the assistance of a calculator and some current prices I got off the internet. Now, this is part of, stop waving my arms around, this is part of a little bit of a mini rant I've got going inside my head at the moment. It may just be me, most things are. But people always complain about price. Okay, it's part of what we do. When I was a lad, you could have £1 and go to the cinema and watch a film and have a pint in the pub on the way home and buy a packet of sweets and blah, blah, blah. A lot of that's rose-tinted glasses, but some of it's real. So people complain about the prices of air rifles, okay? And I get that. They're expensive things. But I think they always were. I remember back in the 1980s, there was we had the magazines, and the magazines had the best prices, but we had local gun shops. We had a gun shop and saddlery in Headcorn, which was the kind of the closest, if you like. The next stop on, if you got the bus down to Staplehurst and then got on the train, it was one stop on the train, you got off at Headcorn. You didn't need to know that, but if you ever plan on going from Sissinghurst to Headcorn, that's how you do it. But in there, they had HW80s, and they were like 115 quid in the mid 80s. That was as unobtainable as to 16-year-old me, as unobtainable as £1,000 is now. You know, it was just a silly amount of money. So yeah, of course things have got more expensive, but how much more expensive? And are we complaining just because we know, or just because we enjoy complaining? I think we know the answer to that. We do enjoy to complain. So just to use as my measuring stick, I've been onto the UK official statistics page, whatever it is, and I've compared house prices from the end of 1994, where the average England house price was £56,000, to the end of 2024, effectively last week, where the average England house price was £309. So that means in those 25 years, house prices have gone up 5.5 times. So if it was £100,000 then, it's £550,000 now on average. I dare say figures will change slightly depending on the sources you use, but I use the official whatever it is of statistics. I can't remember the web page. I've got it on my iPad over there, and that's what I'm going to use for this. So we're going to take a trip down memory lane, which I know we all enjoy, because I certainly do enjoy a trip down memory lane. I enjoy a ramble as well. So let's go for a little ramble together through this magazine. Now, I have in front of me my HW. We don't say it too loud because otherwise YouTube will go pew, and it will disappear, but it's an HW80 there in front of me. A great measuring stick because it's been around forever. It's an iconic rifle, and this particular one has a custom stock, a CS500 stock, and an Optima Moonlighter scope, as well as a aim sport moderator at that end. So let's use that for a little measuring stick. Oh, I do love these magazines. I've got bags of them. I've got if you quite often on forums you'll see people saying, oh, I've got a load of old Airgun Worlds, Airgunners, whatever. Does anybody want them? Just say yes. You will lose evenings reading through these. A time machine and a few £100, honestly. Or would we? Oh, is it cheaper now? Ha 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 ha! See where I'm going there. So we're going to have a little flicker through here now. When we get to Uttings and Co, reading glasses for the old man. It's my birthday on Friday, by the way, my birthday. If anybody has a Theoban Fenman, you know, I can give you my address. Here we are. Let's have a little look. What have we got in here? Tasco Silver Antler scopes. Okay, now, Tasco Silver Antler at the time, that was, you know, gold antler, way out of it. Couldn't do that. A Tasco Silver Antler was as good as we could hope for. Now, a 4x32, your bog standard 4x32 was £33. So using our little multiplier, 33 times 5.5, that means in today's money, £181.50 for a 4x32 scope. You could buy a proper scope for £181.50 nowadays. You really can. There's an awful... I mean, they have got so much cheaper. As an aside, I put on a forum recently, I was mentioning about the new radio controlled planes. If you've watched my radio controlled toy videos, you'll see me with these new radio controlled planes that virtually anybody can fly. Computers do a lot of the work for you, so you can just control it and you can turn it down and turn it off as you get better. There are some people on there saying, oh, I've been flying for many years and I don't like these new ones, they're too easy and it's encouraging the wrong sort of people into the sport. The reason I mention that is when HFT first started, most people used open sights because it was so massively expensive to get a decent scope. And when people started to use scopes, people said exactly the same thing. Oh, I don't like these telescopic sights. It's encouraging the wrong kind of people into our sport. That's you, by the way. We are all the wrong kind of people because we've all got scopes. That's an aside. Sorry, I'm rambling. I always ramble. You know that. We've got some lovely uttings. What a lovely thing. Now, oh, here we go. Custom stocks. Okay, CS Custom Stocks of Sheffield. CS Stocks. These again have been around for a very long time and they're in this magazine. Now the CS 500 stock, which is what I have here in front of us, was £99. Okay, I can do the maths for that. 5.5 times 100, 550 quid. That should call near enough. 545. £545 or 47.50 is what this should cost in today's money. But it doesn't. It's 240 quid. These have halved in price over the last 25 years. Halved in price. Unbelievable. The CS 700 stock was £125. The new one's only 260. The CS 800, which is probably my favourite of their stocks. If you're watching this custom stocks, I don't want a free stock off you, but please make a stock for the HW30. Lots of my customers are asking for them. I'm sure we would buy enough between us to make it worthwhile. The CS800, my favourite of the custom stocks of Sheffield stocks, was £149. That means it should be 149 times 5.5 equals £820 in today's money. But it isn't. It's 300 quid. What a bargain. Seriously, what a bargain. So let's continue through here. Oh, now hang on, here we go. The sports marketing B2 rifle, okay, was £29.95. I don't know what it is now, but it ain't worth it. It wasn't worth £29.95 now. It isn't worth £29.95. Sorry, then, and it isn't worth £29.95 now. Don't get one of those. Some people say they're brilliant guns to start with. They're not that brilliant to start with because it'll put a lot of people off because they'll think, well, their guns are cack. Now that's interesting. An IJ53, that's a Baykal semi-target orientated spring pistol. The IJ53, that's £39.95. Now I happen to know, because I'm looking for cheap air pistols for testing for this channel, I happen to know that the current Baykal MP53, which is just the newer version of that, is only 90 quid. So again, what a bargain. I might get myself one of those. I do like a cheap air pistol, as you know. People keep asking me if I can do reviews or strip down a Tempest or a Hurricane or a Senior or something like that. I can if you send me one, or sell me one. I mean, I'm not saying give me a free gun and sell me one, because I don't have one and I do want one. What else do we have in here? Brococks, we won't talk too much about them. Theobans. Oh. Now, the actual guns themselves, let me find. Now now Optima. There's the Optima page, okay, and the Moonlighter, the 3 to 9 by 45 Moonlighter, £125. £125 in 1994, 25 years ago. Now, obviously, you cannot buy this scope nowadays, so I can't tell you what the new price for this scope would be. But if you think of a good quality 3 to 9 by 45 scope, that's what you're looking for. So £125 times 5.5, in today's money, this scope would have been £687.50. Unbelievable. I mean, no wonder it was our dream scope. We had cars that cost less than that. Seriously, I've had many cars that cost less than that. And I'm talking 125, not that 687. So let's go back to the beginning and have a look for the actual gun prices. So an HW80 was £155 for an HW80. Times that by 5.5, 155, yeah. £852.50. If guns had gone up by the same price as houses over the last 25 years, this should be £852.50. The current price today in Sportsman Gun Centre in Exeter, you may know that I use them for all my price comparisons because I want to keep it to one shop, because it's pointless getting a price for one gun from somewhere and one from, because you're not comparing apples with apples. One shop, and they tend to have everything I want to look for the price for in one place. Today's price for an HW80 is £569. Okay, so that is neck end of £300 less than it should be by the calculator on house prices. Now, obviously, if you're in Euroland, like what I am, we don't have the Brexit charges, so it's actually considerably cheaper than that. If I buy one direct from Germany, it's under 500 quid, considerably under 500 quid, I may add. But even with your Brexit charges and import duty and all the rest of it, it's still neck end of £300 cheaper than it should be if it had gone up by the same price as your house. So that's the HW80, but does it work across the board? Let's swap this for a different gun. And here is my HW97K. Well, actually mine's a UK Ultra Carbine because I've tinkered around with it as I do. These were relatively new in 1994. They've been around for a couple of years, but it was a relatively new gun. And at the Airgun Centre in Rayleigh, Essex, this would have cost you £175. Just the rifle, standard rifle, £175, which means in today's money, times 5.5, it should cost you today £962.50. If it had gone up by the same as your house, that's what it would be, but it doesn't. It only costs £589. So relative, it is cheaper today than it was 25 years ago. And I think that's great. So we add that £175 to my £149 for the stock. Now, this stock's more expensive than a standard CS 800 stock because it's a laminate. In fact, they don't even make this one anymore. They only made two and I've got one of them. But even if you, I mean, especially if you add the stock and all the bits that are on it, you could not have got this gun for anywhere near as cheap as you can today. It just wasn't possible. It was so expensive back in the 90s. You couldn't do it. The moderators, I mean, a decent moderator would be 25 quid. The one I had on my HW80 over there, that was an AIM Sport moderator. That's a rimfire one. It's not a cheap moderator at all, but that was about 80 quid. So if you take the £20 for an airgun moderator, that's £25 for a moderator. That is 5.5, so £137.50 for an air rifle moderator. We know they don't cost that much now. But the scopes is the real shocker. So the HW80 has got cheaper. The HW97 has got cheaper. Custom stocks of Sheffield, I don't know how they're doing it for the price. Honestly, I don't. It is absolutely unbelievable. Scopes. No wonder we used open sight so much back in the day. Who could afford the neck end of £700? Sorry, that was the Moonlighter on the previous one there, but nearly £700 in today's money, compared to house prices, obviously, for a scope. It's absolutely ridiculous. So that is the Weihrauchs. But let's have a look at something that was brand new, nearly brand new, It was airgun of the year. Let's swap over to that now. I'm a buffoon. I don't even have a TX200. I was going to grab an Air Arms TX200 and compare the airgun of the year from 1994. I forgot I don't own one. The closest I have is this Pro Sport. The Pro Sport hadn't even been released by the time this magazine came out, so I can't do a price comparison. I feel slightly silly, but there you go. But what I can tell you is, if there had been a TX200 in front of me at the time, now this is going to shock you, at the time in Uttings and Co in October 1994, in their advert, the TX200 was £10 cheaper than an HW97. Now, if we move forward in time 25 years and we say, well, the £10 cheaper would have been £165. £165 times 5.5. Today it should be £907.50. We know from looking at all these other guns that they are massively cheaper than they should be. Feeling a bit trepidatious about this, bit nervous if I'm honest. Let's put in TX200 into the Sportsman Gun Centre catalogue. See what the price is of it now. Any minute now, because I've got not a lot of signal down here. Search. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, a Beach a Beach TX200 is actually £719. So yes, it is cheaper. It is cheaper, 700, I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. It is cheaper than it should be by the house price calculator. It should be £907.50 and it is a bargain at £719. But whereas it was £10 cheaper than an HW97, it has now become 10, 20, 30, £130 more than an HW97. That's confusing because they're not even imported from abroad, are they? So I'm not sure why, but obviously they're a very, very good rifle. Don't forget that. Worth every penny of £719. If you want an Air Arms TX200, simply nothing else is called that. So there you are. That is kind of where I went with this one. The next thing would be that we all say, whenever I go to a shooting event in the UK and it gets to that time of the evening where maybe we've opened a beer and we're sat around a campfire and we start talking about the old magazines, we talk about a lot of things, but old magazines. Oh, if I had a time machine. If you had a time machine, what would you do? That's a story for another day, and I'm sure you can tell me below what you would do with your, I don't know, what's the average wage now? What's a weekly wage nowadays? 700 quid, 750 quid a week, something like that, average across the UK, I expect. If you could take a week's wages back, if you've got old magazines, have a skim through. Tell me what you would spend your £750 on. I think that would be an interesting subject for the comments down below. Please like, subscribe, hit notifications. I will be back in a couple of days and again on Friday, which is my birthday. No cards, it's not necessary, but thank you very much for watching. I will see you all again soon. Goodbye.